Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and big welcome to everybody listening in on of all our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast and our independents, plus everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets, Hotel TV where applicable, everybody streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer, and also on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that group out, folks. Chicago Food Favorites. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, your favorite foods. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you can answer a simple trivia question, I'm going to read it. If you know the answer, call the telephone number that I'm going to give right afterwards for your shot at a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. Here it is. Which of these three structures is the tallest in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Is it B, the Fontainebleau Hotel? Or is it C, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, or in Branson. If you know the answer, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right. Now, how about something to just get under your skin just a little bit? Isn't that what we do on this program? I think it is. So here you have this ongoing issue with Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly, in case you don't know, of course, he is the coach that was fired from Louisiana State University and from their football team. And yeah, he's not too happy. He's a little bit sour grapes. I mean, first of all, they paid this guy a lot of money, folks. And I mean a lot of money. And I don't know about you, but if you're going to pay somebody crazy mad money, you better have hoisted the championship. That's right. You better have done so. And if you haven't won the national title in college football, it's kind of like hiring a head coach or a manager in baseball when you have a World Series built team and then you're bringing in some guy that has not really been there before. First of all, never won a World Series or never even played for one. So in this idea, well, let's stick with Brian Kelly first. What I don't understand is why this guy is sour grapes in the first place. So let's think about this. What did Brian Kelly win? All right, so let's do this, and I'm going to do this with you just because, and we're going to go ahead and pick your favorite search engine. We're going to pick the one that rhymes with a noodle, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to search for Brian Kelly, and then we're going to find him under Wikipedia. All right, and let's take a quick look under Wikipedia, what they say, because they're not a scholarly journal, but they have a lot of good information, and they cite some really good sources. And this is Brian Keith Kelly, born October 25, 1961. So let's take a look. Okay, yeah, he's from Michigan or from Massachusetts, whatever. He went to Assumption University, wherever the hell that is, and he did play football at Assumption University, which actually it's in Worcester, Mass, in case you don't know. And he was a linebacker. All right, that's fine. So he was a football player, and then he was a graduate assistant at Grand Valley State, a defensive backs coach, back in the late 1980s into 1990, same place, and defensive coordinator. And you look back and you say, all right, well, he went from there to Central Michigan, he did pretty well over there, went to Cincinnati, went to Notre Dame, and then he went to LSU. Now, his overall record is what it is. 9-5 in bowl games, but then again, which of those mattered, I don't know. So let's take a look at what he's done. Well, he's won a 1AA, a Division II national title. Never done anything on the big side. Now he's won a part of the SEC with LSU in the West Division. In the Big East, when he was with Cincinnati, he was a division winner. And in the Mid-American Conference one season at Central Michigan. Same thing. So what I don't see here, I don't see a national title. I'm saying a D1 FBS level national title. I don't see that. Not at all. So this guy, he had a few years in South Bend, and they were pretty good years, I suppose, right? And so you look at what he did over there, you say, well, all right, well, he ended up replacing Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss was a decent head coach. And, well, let's face it, he didn't really set the world afire, if you will. So when you look and you say, why did LSU hire him in the first place? That's the first question. Is it because he had decent seasons over there in South Bend? I don't know. I believe that's basically the deciding factor. And that's the part that confuses me. So he was there for a bunch of years, but how many national titles did he win? None! He didn't win any. So why did they give him a $100 million contract to coach at LSU? Why does it matter? Well, first of all, the guy's been fired. He wants his remaining $54 million. And by the way, in case you don't know, that's over the next 72 months. He gets paid monthly and would be paid, are you ready for this? $750,000 a month. That's right.
Show me the money!
$750,000 a month. Now, in case, let's get the calculator out here. Let's have some fun with this. Let's take that 750,000. That's good. Divided by 30 days. This dude makes $25,000 a day, over $1,000 an hour for doing nothing. That's right. So let's have some fun with this. Let's go divided by 24 hours. So it's $1,041 per hour divided by 60 minutes. This dude makes $17.36 a minute for the next 72 months for doing absolutely nothing. That's right. All right, why does it matter? I'll tell you why it matters. Because he signed a contract with Louisiana State University. Now, in case you don't know much about the state of Louisiana, here's a little something for you. Now, these are actual rankings, and this is by U.S. News and World Reports. U.S. News says, first of all, Louisiana is ranked number 46 in the nation in education. And that's out of 50. Number 46 in fiscal stability. Number 48 in infrastructure. Number 44 in healthcare. Number 49 in natural environment. Number 46 in opportunity to its residents. It has the worst economy in America and the worst crime per capita in America. Why does this matter? I'm going to tell you why it matters. Because when you're giving this guy $750,000 a month for the next 72 months, first of all, they should have never signed the contract, right? Think about that one, the $100 million deal. Okay, when you look at that, you say, well, Do the taxpayers have a choice in this? The answer simply is no. This is the problem. And you say, well, why does it matter to us? I'm going to tell you why it matters. Because the taxpayers are the ones that pay these salaries. It is a state university. It is not a private university. So at the crux of it, now you've got the taxpayers, they're doling out all this money for what? They're not getting any value out of it. The university's education itself is questionable at best. Because if you have a pulse and you're from the state of Louisiana, you get to enter LSU for free, as I understood it. Now, I've been a college recruiter for 25 years. My point is the academics are highly questionable. People are very, very nice. The problem is the state is in a bad financial state, a bad economic state, a bad educational state, a bad crimes and corrections state, and everything else you can imagine. Even the infrastructure is in big trouble. Overall rank is number 50 out of 50 as the worst state financially in America. So therefore, why do they give this guy all that money? And by the way, the taxpayers would probably say, I'd like for my money to go to education, maybe the economy, maybe to crime and corrections, maybe healthcare. I think that would probably be a big deal. My point is the taxpayers have no say in this, and this guy is crying about it. We're going to pick up on this on the other side. This is insane. And this is one of those things where, Brian Kelly, in my opinion, you may want to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. They've been with us for, about 9 years or so, so make sure you check them out, folks. Good organization, really good school, really good athletics, good people. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on our affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta, waking up with us. Thanks for joining us on WDJY 99.1 FM at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Over in Auburn, Alabama, actually stretching from Montgomery all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. Based out of Auburn, Alabama, that's our friends on WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcoming everybody else up and down the Midwest out to the West Coast, listening in, driving between Las Vegas and sunny Southern California on 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM Highway Country Radio, home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Raiders, and, of course, the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And welcoming everybody from San Francisco all the way up to Anchorage, out to Honolulu. CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, that's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and Alabama Crimson Tide. And plus everybody else on all of our cable affiliates, Hotel TV, all of those where applicable. And on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, folks. And that is a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, if you're just tuning in right now, you missed the first segment. At the top of the show, we made an announcement for our friends over at Vacation Buddies. And Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, a couple of nights in Orlando, Florida, or a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, if you can answer the simple trivia question that I had mentioned in the first segment. I'm going to repeat it in case you're just tuning in. Which of these three structures is the tallest in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Is it B, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? Or is it C, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies, again, is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in either Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. Take your pick. If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777 right now. All right, back to this Brian Kelly being sour grapes about what's going on with LSU. First of all, look, he got fired. He wasn't very good. It is what it is. And his career record, although the record actually looks pretty good, what doesn't look good is what he's done when it matters. Yeah, sure, you could win a Division II championship 23 years ago, whatever the hell. That doesn't really matter too much in today's time. And then you get yourself a championship in the Midwest Intercollegiate Football Conference. Basically, that's for Grand Valley State. Now, if you don't know where Grand Valley State is, well, they compete in the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference and was once affiliated with the now defunct Midwest Intercollegiate Football Conference. That tells you everything you probably need to know. So he was there for a bunch of years, then moved to Central Michigan for a couple or so. Same thing with Cincinnati, then Notre Dame, and then to LSU. And LSU hired him, as I see it, on the promise that he could bring something big and the alleged luck of the Irish. Yeah, how did that work out? Maybe it was the unluck. I don't know. I don't know when the last time those guys won a national title, but it's been a long time. Anyway, my point in this is Kelly is owed $54 million or $750,000 a month for the next 6 years, and that's insane. I mean, that comes to over $1,000 an hour, folks, for doing absolutely nothing. And the state of Louisiana, the taxpayers, they're the ones that have to pay this. And so you could find on your favorite search engine, like I did, you'll find that they say, like this one here that rhymes with a noodle, they say former LSU football coach, head football coach, Brian Kelly, is in a contract dispute with the university, not a dispute over turning down an offer to coach the university football team. And Kelly has rejected 2 settlement offers from LSU regarding his buyout after being fired October 26th. He's seeking the full remaining amount of his contract, which sources state is approximately $54 million, or like I said, about $750,000 a month. That's a lot of lettuce, folks. Anyway, that's what they signed for, and that's what they're in for. So, yeah, there was a rejection. Kelly and his representatives have rejected 2 settlement offers from the university, the first one being $25 million, second one being $30 million, basically about a half-price buyout. And full buyout, let's face it, he's demanding the full $54 million remaining from his original 10-year, $95 million contract. That's insane. And so the status, well, Kelly's attorneys have sent a letter to the university indicating they will pursue legal action if the university does not conform by a specific deadline that intends to pay him the full amount. So the firing itself, well, Kelly was fired back on October 26th after a loss to Texas A&M, who was actually a pretty damn good squad, and they're ranked number 3 in the nation. So that concludes his tenure, 3.5 years into it, with a 34-14 record, but how many of those were against cupcakes, who knows? Okay, so here's the reality of it. The taxpayers are on the short end of this one, no matter what, whether he gets fired or whether he's not fired. The problem is this. In my opinion, Brian Kelly is going to win a lawsuit if he has to file one against LSU. The reason he's going to win is because the contract is clear as we see it. We don't know. We don't have a contract copy in front of us. I'm sure at some point we can probably get one. But if the terms are that he's entitled to his full money, his full pay, then he's going to get his full pay. In the same way, I still believe that John Gruden is going to end up beating the Raiders in his lawsuit, his ongoing lawsuit. I believe that his privacy was violated, et cetera, and so forth. The NFL is going to be on the hook for that one, as I see it. And I think John Gruden's going to win a whole lot of money. And so here's the thing. If the university wants to fight Brian Kelly, in my opinion, they're going to lose, and they're going to lose very quickly, because there is no buyout option for the university in this as I see it, unless I'm missing something here. So it doesn't say anywhere on this search that there is some kind of a buyout scenario. And so, first of all, LSU, in my opinion, made a terrible, terrible decision in hiring this guy. Not only that, but for such a long period of time. I mean, if they were going to hire him, I probably would assume that maybe a 4-year deal would probably make more sense, because it takes a couple of years to get your guys in there, your recruits in there. All right, so that takes you the first 2 years. And then you have 2 more years to perform. Well, you figure you get a full class in there, and LSU gets some pretty good recruits. And the bigger issue is that they could have given Kelly an option, or they could have had basically a team option or a school option, maybe for 2 more years. They could have did it on a rolling 2-year basis. But what they wanted to do, as I see it, is they wanted to keep pace with Georgia and Alabama. So with DeBoer and with Kirby Smart, and Smart's the highest paid coach in America, I think, at $13 million a year, which is, again, another state school. I don't see the logic in it. And Alabama, same thing, another state school. Now, we're talking these states are not the best in education, if you will, but they'd rather spend the money in what? In something that would generate revenue. And so that's kind of like jumping over a dollar to save a dime, because if you don't want to spend the money to educate your residents, then what are you creating? You're creating mediocrity and lots of it and generations of it. I don't see how the state of Louisiana could even allow LSU to put that much money into a contract in the grand scheme of things when you say, well, geez, the state of Louisiana is number 50th overall out of 50 and being the bottom of the barrel in the United States when it comes to a whole bunch of indicators. And remember, they're number 50 in crime, corrections, number 50 in the economy, the last in the economy, natural environment, number 49, 48 in infrastructure, how much that needs to be repaired, fiscal stability, education, number 46. That's right, even healthcare, number 44. So the state has some real issues here. And so if you're going to say, well, oh no, they needed to hire a good coach, I don't know about that. Their higher education, that's right, their higher education is number 49. That's right, and look that up under usnews.com. That's where I got it, and that's where you can get it too. So you go back to the taxpayers have no choice in this. They are stuck with their state spiraling downward in education, and in infrastructure, and in crime, and everything else. Meanwhile, guys like Brian Kelly, and hey, I'm not begrudging him the fact that he was able to negotiate a big deal. But what I am saying is LSU, the university, and the state allowed that to happen. The chancellor or whoever is the top dog at the university, they allowed that to happen. So the taxpayers got to pay for that. What about when little Billy or little Susie is in school and they can't get extra books or they can't get an extra notebook computer or whatever the heck it is? Why? Because Brian Kelly's being paid $750,000 a month. That kind of stuff comes into consideration. We can't have any more police officers because why? Because all that money is going to Brian Kelly instead of safety and security for the residents around the state. Think about that. That's where that money could go to. All right, I'm done with this. This is ridiculous. LSU, you absolutely laid an egg, and I don't believe that you did anything good for your state. Back here on A Few on the Circus. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, YouTube, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out the partners page at thesportscircus.com. And as a matter of fact, lots of great partners over there. We've added a couple here and there. In fact, one of our favorite musical acts is the music of Blue Oyster Cult. Check them out. There's a link right there on the partners page, Friends of the Sports Circus. And if you click on their logo and their name, hey, listen, folks, it'll take you right to their tour date, pick up some great merch, and go get some tickets to some great shows. I got to tell you, I've seen them several times. And they are friends of the circus, and Buck Dharma, as you heard from the very beginning of the show, did what? The very beginning entrance or the announcement, hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus. But I got to tell you, folks, there are really, really good, really fun venues that they play in. And I just saw them right here in Las Vegas at the Golden Nugget Hotel and Casino. In fact, that was at the room that they built for the showroom. They built it for Frank Sinatra. What a glorious room. I've never been in there before. It holds 600. Nice, small, intimate room. And boy, I mean, I'm lucky I was able to get myself a pair of tickets. But boy, I'll tell you what, it is a tough ticket when those guys are in town. Go see them. They're legends in the rock and roll world. They're a hit machine. And, of course, my favorite is Godzilla. You got to like Godzilla. But anyway, folks, check them out. And also, we have the music of Jason Owens on there also. Country music star, rising country music star Jason Owens. Check him out at jasonowensmusic.com. And you know what? Musical partners are great. We have business partners, but the musical partners are great too. And Jason puts on a fun show where people are head bopping and toe tapping and people are dancing, having a good time. Check him out on his tour schedule as well, jasonowensmusic.com, and tell him the circus sent you. All right. A couple of nice plugs for our friends over there. And welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. I think you know who you are. And we left off just really scratching our heads saying, what the hell happened with LSU and the taxpayer money and all that other crap? Let's get into the Week 12 games. We're going to get into these a little bit early because I'm going to talk about the bowl projections after that because, yes, it's that time of year. So, in fact, if you emailed me at info@thesportscircus.com and you were able to pick up some of the information that I made available, and for all those people out there that hired Sal the Bookmaker as a consultant, The best pick of the week, the number one pick, was Syracuse plus 28.5 against Miami. And Syracuse has been giant killers a few times this year, but you know what they did? They covered.
Show me the money!
That's right. They lost by 3 points, and therefore they won by the hook. And all you bettors out there know that half a point is known as the hook. And so that was our number one pick. And I got to tell you, man, we have just given away so many big wins on this show. And that was one of those ones that, well, let's face it, people hired me to give them the right pick. And there were plenty of other winners as well. And let's face it, I've been doing this for a long time. And I mean a long time. I'm not even going to say how many years. But what I will tell you is it's a whole bunch of years. Now, with that said, my win percentage is up over 80% against the line. That's right, over 80% against the Vegas line. How do you do it? I don't know. Well, I'll tell you how you do it. You follow the money. You got to know how to follow the money. It's not about statistics. It doesn't matter what the analytics say. Well, it's a snowy day and they've done this against snow, or it's this guy's injured, that guy's injured, whatever. None of that crap matters. We know what matters. What does the money want? The money will tell you. You have odds makers that lay the odds out every week, right? The sports books do this. And then what happens? Well, it's the bettors. The bettors manipulate which way they think things are going to go. But folks, you got to realize the real line is what? It is the line that was set in the first place, if you know what I mean. That said, let's get to the games here. And the first one is 11-11. How do you like that? Watch that game at 11-11. Make a wish. So that one is on Veterans Day. The Akron Zips, that's right, the Zips are playing the Kent State Golden Flashes. Boy, that's kind of a fun one. A zip against the Golden Flash. Who do you like there? Got to tell you, I'll take the 5.5 with the Kent State Golden Flashes. They open up plus 4.5. It's up to plus 5.5. And that's one of those magic numbers, folks. And if you, info@thesportcircus.com, if you email me and ask me about it, maybe I'll tell you about it. Next one, same day, the Bobcats of Ohio against the Broncos of Western Michigan. Now, Ohio opens up on the road minus 2.5, and they're at 1.5. The casinos have them at 1 right now. In fact, MGM and Caesars have them at 1. And I guess if you're still betting, the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino has actually got them at plus 0.5 point. So all you got to do is win the game if you're betting the Bobcats of Ohio. So there's a little tip for you there. You got to watch the casino lines too. Each one has their own line. Now, Northern Illinois, the Huskies travel to the Minutemen of UMass. And Northern Illinois opens up minus 11.5, and they're the same thing at MGM and 10.5 at Caesars Palace. So if you're betting that one, Caesars or Hard Rock gives you the better line. The Toledo Rockets are traveling over to Miami of Ohio, right down the road. This is a very close rivalry, folks. Toledo opens up minus 3. They're up to minus 3.5 at MGM. They're minus 4 at Caesars, minus 4.5 at Hard Rock. So if you're betting Miami, you want to take that 4.5 over there at the Hard Rock. Buffalo, the Bulls, are traveling to Central Michigan. Central Michigan minus 2.5 at the open, and they're minus 1.5 and 1 depending on the casino. That one looks pretty good. It looks like a fun game to watch. The Men of Troy are playing at Old Domino. Old Dominion minus 10. And they're now at minus 10.5, minus 11, minus 11.5, depending on the casino. If you want to bet Old Dominion, it seems like the place to do it is at MGM. Never mind. I don't do the online betting sources. Sorry, folks. It is what it is. All right, over in the ACC, it's Clemson traveling to Louisville. Clemson, boy, you can't figure those guys out. Louisville desperately needs the game. Clemson opens up minus 6.5, and the big money is already a 9.5 point shift, or actually an 8.5 point shift. It's already minus 3 Louisville. That's right. Whether it's at the casinos, it's actually minus 3.5 at the Hard Rock. So Caesars and MGM, you get it at minus 3. Minnesota travels out to Eugene, Oregon, and the Ducks open up 22.5, and they're up to 24.5, 25, 26.5 at Hard Rock. So if you're looking to use all those points, well, guess what? It looks like Hard Rock is the place to go, but I'll tell you what, I'd be more inclined to take Minnesota with 26.5 at Hard Rock. Now, the Air Force Academy travels to UConn, who really just played their Super Bowl in the prior week, so they're probably due for a letdown. Air Force is +7, and they're still +7 at UConn. Air Force looks pretty good with 7 points. UTSA, a really good squad, travels to Charlotte, who's a really bad squad. UTSA, from a bowl standpoint, needs this one, and I think they're going to win real big on this. They open up -18.5, and still 18.5. It's a true line. Until you get to Hard Rock, they're 19.5. UTSA up for a lock. Arizona travels to Cincinnati. Cincinnati -5.5, and they're at 6.5 across the board. That should be Cincinnati going away. South Florida, a very good squad, travels to the Naval Academy. They're laying 10.5. Navy looks pretty good with 10.5 points, despite what they did in South Bend the previous week. Indiana needing a big win right now. They're -30.5, and they're playing a Wisconsin team which just had a really big upset. Well, guess what? Wisconsin, they're going to hit the road and they're going to hit reality. I tell you what, Indiana, I would lay the 29.5 and take that one all day long. Those guys from South Bend travel to Pittsburgh to play the Panthers. And the guys from South Bend are -11.5. The line's going up 1.5. And that's at MGM, 11 at Caesars, 12.5 at Hard Rock. So if you can get it under 11, you're probably in pretty good shape. Eastern Michigan, -3 open at Ball State, and they're at 2.5. Eastern Michigan going away in that one. Kansas State opens up -20.5 at Oak State. I don't even know what the hell's wrong with Oak State, but it looks like K-State would probably have a little bit of a closer game because they're looking past them for the game against Kansas. You may want to consider Oak State with the points. South Carolina is getting 19.5 from Texas A&M, and South Carolina has proven to play very well against better teams. They look pretty good with 19.5 points at MGM or Caesars or the Hard Rock. Michigan travels to Evanston to play Northwestern on the road, and Michigan probably will have very little trouble with this game, although all the snow and everything from Chicagoland will probably clear by then, so it should be a nice, cool day. Michigan, -11.5 looks pretty darn good. If you're at Hard Rock, you probably want to take Northwestern +13.5. And before we go to break, the last one here in the SEC, and of course, we talked about LSU earlier. They are giving 5.5 across the board to Arkansas, who is really bad right now. I don't understand what's going on with Arkansas, but LSU should win this game. Are they going to cover the 5.5? Probably. All right, folks, back here on the circus, and we're going to continue on with Oregon State and Tulsa, the Golden Hurricanes, in just a few minutes on the circus. Don't go anywhere.
Stop it! Why isn't this an awkward moment? Stop it! Stop it!
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, again, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on all streaming platforms. And listen, we have a really interesting guest coming up, and there is a very, very interesting story around it. And we're going to bring on Delvin Williams. Delvin Williams, former All-Pro running back and Pro Bowl running back for the San Francisco 49ers, Miami Dolphins. He was one of the really good ones back in the day. And you want to talk about a story. Folks, there is a story. Now, Delvin wrote a book. And we're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about everything on air with him. I got to tell you, you'll be very, very interested. We might even turn it into a 2 or 3 part series because there's so much to cover. So when we get to it, that's coming up maybe in about a week or so. So make sure you check the schedule. And right now he's scheduled for the 18th of November. Not sure when it's going to be. It could be the 17th. It could be the 20th. I don't know. A lot of it's going to depend on our collective schedules, and let's see when we can put it together. But boy, it's going to be hard-hitting information, folks. Make sure you stick around for that one, and make sure you tune in for that one too. All right. Okay, back to the, oh, by the way, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are. TV and radio and streaming and so forth. Okay, so we left off with Arkansas LSU, and now we're going into the Pac-2, which is Oregon State playing the Golden Hurricanes of Tulsa at Tulsa. And Oregon State comes in -2.5 with a little bit of pride on the line, playing a smaller school that they should be able to crush. But again, for Tulsa, this could be basically a bowl game for them. So you never know what's going to happen. I would just stay away from this one, honestly. Moving on. West Virginia travels to Tempe to play Arizona State University. ASU -10.5 at the open, 11.5 across the board, except at Hard Rock. They're at 12.5. And I think that's largely because of the bettors on the West Coast maybe going into the Hard Rock properties and driving up that line, putting a lot more money on Arizona State. Not so sure. West Virginia looks pretty good with 11.5 or 12.5, frankly, at Hard Rock, so I kind of like that one. How about Tennessee Tech at Kentucky? Kentucky should absolutely destroy this team. I don't give a damn what the line is. Kentucky should win by a country mile in this one. Moving on. It's Marshall traveling down to Atlanta to play Georgia State. The Thundering Herd of Marshall playing Georgia State. And Marshall opened up -5.5, and they're 7 at Caesars, 7.5. I'm sorry, 7.5 at Caesars, 7 at MGM. You know what? I like Georgia State with 7.5 points. That's a lot of points. A lot of points at home. And this is a pretty good squad. How about the North Texas Mean Green? Now, they are traveling to UAB to play the Dragons. Now, a little tidbit here for North Texas. If they win out, they actually have a shot to get into the college football playoff. And what a great name, the Mean Green. These guys are good. And they're a pretty good road team. I just don't know if they're going to cover the 18.5. I don't think they're going to cover the 18.5. I really don't. Even the money indicates that too, because the line has already dropped 1 point, and that's at all the casinos. It's 18.5 across the board. I'm inclined to take UAB with the 18.5. Colorado State, not a terrible squad, but they're traveling over to Albuquerque to play the Lobos of New Mexico. Now, New Mexico opens up minus 12.5. They're at 14.5 across the board right now. You know what? That's probably a true line too. Frankly, I would just stay away from the game. UTEP, which you almost can't figure those guys out. They're playing Missouri State. You can't even understand how Missouri State is favored over anybody. Is UTEP really that bad? University of Texas El Paso? I don't know. Are the Miners that bad? Nobody's touching the game. It opens up 4.5. It's 4.5 all the way across on everything, because I think even the bettors are confused. This could be a 31-27 kind of a game with Missouri State covering by, UTEP covering by the hook. Again, one to stay away from. How about this one? Now, this is a good game. This would be fun football to watch. James Madison, who's got a 35% chance of making the CFP right now, they lead the Sun Belt, I think, by a half a game, if I'm not mistaken. They open up 19.5. They're 21 at MGM, 21 at Caesars, 21.5 at Hard Rock against App State. And so App State is a pretty good squad. And somehow I think that App State, if you can get at 21.5, I would take that extra half a point. So that you probably want to bet that one at the casinos at the Hard Rock, because you're getting 21.5. Where at MGM and Caesars, it's 21. So I'm inclined to take App State and probably win by the hook. Georgia Tech travels to lowly Boston College, who's in the toilet. Georgia Tech desperately needs a win to stay atop the ACC for the CFP. Open up 16.5. They're still 16.5. Unless you go to Hard Rock, they're 17.5. It should be Georgia Tech going away. I would do it at, if I'm going to bet it, I'm going to bet it at Caesars or MGM. And I'm not going to give the extra point, because Hard Rock, you're giving 17.5. Well, I'd rather do the 16.5 there. Duke is hosting the Wahoos of Virginia. Virginia took it on the chin last week, and so did Duke, as a matter of fact. They lost a tough game at UConn, believe it or not. And so the Wahoos are plus 6.5. Duke will probably win this game, and Duke's going to probably cover, because they're fighting for the possibility of winning the ACC. They still have a shot. NC State, speaking of the ACC, NC State is getting 14.5 from Miami down in Coral Gables, and that line is 14.5. Unless you're at the Hard Rock, it's 15.5. But Miami should win this one going away. I don't see how they don't cover 25 points. Penn State travels to East Lansing to play Michigan State. Somehow Penn State is favored in this game. These are two really bad football teams. Michigan State plus 7.5 at Caesars Palace looks pretty darn good to me. Oklahoma travels to Tuscaloosa. Now, Alabama opened up minus 14. They're down to minus 6 and minus 5.5 at Hard Rock. As long as that line stays under 7, Alabama looks like a pretty good pick. Boy, that's pretty scary stuff. Texas State, a pretty good Texas State squad, is playing the Sun Belt's second-place team in Southern Miss. Southern Miss opened up minus 6.5. They're down to minus 5.5. And right now, Texas State with 5.5 at Caesars Palace looks pretty darn good to me. Texas Tech, who's fighting for a first-round bye in the CFP, they're playing Central Florida at home over in Lubbock, Texas. Texas Tech going away in this one. Although it is a Big 12 matchup, Texas Tech should roll. South Alabama and Louisiana Monroe. This one should be South Alabama. There shouldn't be a lot of mystery there. Illinois is hosting Maryland. Same thing. Illinois should roll over Maryland, and I would almost be willing to lay the 14. Iowa travels to the University of Southern California to play at the Mausoleum, and USC should win this game by the 6.5. It's 6.5 across the board. As long as it doesn't go to 7, you're okay. Iowa is a good home team. They keep it close, but on the road, they're not very good. Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. This one's Western Kentucky all day long. As long as it's under 14, you're in good shape. San Jose State travels to Reno to play the Wolfpack. And Nevada is getting 9.5 points. San Jose State should win this one easy. Memphis to East Carolina, the Pirates. East Carolina Pirates looking for the upset. These guys are a very good squad. Lay the 2.5 points. Florida Atlantic travels down to New Orleans to play Tulane. Tulane's laying 17.5 points. They should win by 37.5. Rocky Top hosting New Mexico State. Now, you may remember New Mexico State, it was probably a year or two ago. They had an enormous win on the road, and it was a Power 5 school. Watch out. New Mexico State may shock the world, and they may cover the spread. Tennessee desperately needs a big win, but I got to tell you, New Mexico State, they may shock the world. I would take the 40.5 points with New Mexico State. North Carolina, the Fighting Belichicks traveling to Wake Forest, who had an enormous upset last week. And this one could be a win, I think, for the third conference win for the Fighting Belichicks. They're getting 6.5 points. It looks pretty good to me. Liberty travels to Florida Atlantic or Florida International. Liberty going away. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, are getting 2.5 at Georgia Southern. That looks pretty good. The Blue Hens of Delaware traveling to the upset-minded Sam Houston State squad that just beat Oregon State. And arguably the ugliest game I've seen in years. Delaware should win this one going away. Utah laying 8.5 at Baylor. Watch for the game to be a little bit closer. Baylor stinks, but Utah will probably eke this game out. Ole Miss is hosting Florida. Ole Miss should destroy the Gators. Shouldn't even be a game. I would lay the 15. Purdue travels out to Seattle to play Washington. This one looks like Washington big. Utah State travels to Vegas to play the local team. Vegas is laying 6. I would take, actually 6.5 at Hard Rock. I would take the 6.5 with Utah State. Should be a lot closer than what people think. Texas travels to Athens, Georgia to play the Bulldogs. Bulldogs open up -2.5. They're at -6, 6.5 right now. And Georgia will probably win this game by 4 points. Vatech, the Hokies travel down to Tallahassee to play Florida State. Florida State, 13.5, 14 at Caesars, 14.5 at Hard Rock. And if they can keep it, if you can get this one at 13.5 like Caesars Palace right now, I'd lay it at 13.5. UCLA travels to Columbus to play those guys, to play Ohio State. And UCLA they have the ability to be giant killers. Watch out, this could be a trap game for Ohio State. Mississippi State is getting 7.5 from Missouri. Missouri scores. Mississippi State doesn't. Case closed. Kennesaw State -3 over Jacksonville State. That game should end in a tie. It really should, but they won't. Kennesaw State will eke this game out, lay the 2.5. Louisiana Tech at Washington State. Louisiana Tech will probably lose by 10 in this one, although the line is 8.5. TCU travels over to Provo, and BYU just had a really bad loss at Texas Tech. They need to bounce back. They need to win this game, but they're playing a pretty good Horned Frog team. They will probably win, but I don't think they'll cover the 4.5 or 5.5 actually at some places. Wyoming travels to Fresno. That is the nobody cares game, but I don't like Fresno, so I'm rooting for the Cowboys. Take the 3.5 there. Boise State travels to San Diego State to play the Aztecs. Aztecs open up -1.5. They're -2.5 at MGM, 3 at Caesars Palace, 2.5. So actually, you could take San Diego State -2.5 at 2 of the casinos. So that's not a bad deal. And San Diego State really needs to win that game anyway, folks. So, I mean, look, with all of those games, there's got to be something in there. We did really well last week for the people that contacted me at info@thesportscircus.com. That's Sell the Bookmaker, just in case you're keeping score. And we'll try to do what? Show me the money! Try to show you the money with some real wins over there. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, that's going to do it for our college football segment today. And we'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So, for me, myself, and I, your Ringmaster Sal, we'll see you next time right here in your favorite station. So long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.